Hello and welcome to the Ridiculously Good VA Show with Tracy Daviero. If you are a virtual assistant or want to be one, this is the place to learn the tips and tricks you need to become a ridiculously good VA. I've been a part of the VA industry since 1998, and I'm excited to get to know you and help you build an amazing business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of the podcast that teaches you how to be a ridiculously good virtual assistant. Each week I bring you insights, strategies, and encouragement to help you grow your VA business with the confidence, clarity, and consistency that you need. And today I want to talk about what you know, what you already know how to do, and talk about how to translate that into services for your VA business. Today's quote is from Marie Forleo. You already have everything you need inside of you. The challenge is learning how to use it. You already know how to do what you know how to do. All you need now is to reframe that knowledge into actual service offerings. Let's go. So today we're talking about something that I think is both fun and maybe even eye-opening to you. We're going to look at how you can take the skills you already have from any past job or career and transfer them into the VA services that you can offer in your VA business. So many new and growing VAs assume they have to reinvent themselves or learn something entirely new or an entirely new set of skills before they can start their business or before they can get clients. And that is simply not true. Most of the time, the work you've already done in your life, whether it was in corporate or healthcare or hospitality or retail or education or anything else, already has set you up with the abilities that clients need. Your confidence grows when you realize you're not starting from scratch, you're simply repackaging what you already know, and then learning how to deliver it to clients in a business setting. It's a lot easier than you think. Today we'll talk about how to do that, how to think more creatively about your strengths, and how to look outside the box so that you can see what you're actually best at. So today is about you and how amazing you are. If you followed me for any amount of time at all, you know I believe in simple structures and building confidence through action. The fastest path to confidence as a VA is offering something that you already know how to do, something that's familiar, something that has proven that you're good at it because you've done it before in real life. When you pick services based on your past experience instead of guessing or hoping what you think clients want, you skip a huge amount of fear. Why? Because you've done it. You don't have to ask yourself, can I do this? Because you already have. Clients do not care where your skills came from. They care that you can do it well, that you can communicate clearly, and that they can trust you. So recognizing your transferable skills does two things. First, it definitely boosts your confidence in your own abilities fast. And second, it shortens that distance between you and your first or your next client. The biggest reason VAs struggle with choosing services is not that they lack the ability, it's that they underestimate what they already bring to the table. You might think, oh, I only worked in retail, or I was just a nurse, or I only did admin for one person, or I was a stay-at-home parent. But these roles are still full of abilities that are incredibly valuable in the online business world. In fact, some of the best VAs I know came from backgrounds that had nothing to do with office work, yet they still had the exact personality traits and work ethic that clients dream about. Things like patience, time management, communication, responsibility, attention to detail, organizing information, managing, competing priorities do not belong to one industry. These are universal business skills, even if you think they're soft skills. So the first mindset shift is this. You are more skilled than you think. Your experience matters more than you realize. And your next step is to actually identify those skills so that you can feel confident offering them as services. So let's look at a few industries and highlight the skills that transfer beautifully into virtual assistant work. This is where the light bulb moments usually happen, so pay attention. Healthcare workers such as nurses, medical assistants, dental admin staff, and PSWs. People from this field often underestimate what their strong skills really are. You bring calmness under pressure, high accuracy, compassion, data tracking, appointment coordination, and patient communication. All of those skills transfer directly into things like client communication, inbox management, scheduling, CRM updates, customer support, follow-up systems, etc., etc. What about retail and customer service? If you managed customers or complaints or inventory, transactions, displays, or daily store operations, you already know how to communicate professionally, how to solve problems quickly, and how to support people. Retail teaches patience, multitasking, teamwork, and even sales. All of those convert very nicely into customer service, client care, community management, inbox support, order processing, social media engagement, or appointment booking. See how this works? Retail workers do not often realize they are actually experts at handling hard conversations and keeping people happy. That's actually one of the top skills clients look for across the board. Education and childcare. You understand planning, structure, communication, and dealing with different personalities. Teachers, EAs, tutors, childcare professionals, and even parents excel at clear instructions, patience, organization, and creating learning materials. This translates into creating client onboarding documents, organizing content, building worksheets, updating systems, writing instructions, managing memberships, and stuff like that. If you've ever created a lesson plan, you can map out workflows. If you've ever communicated daily with parents, you can manage client communication systems. If you've ever homeschooled or even just entertained your kids with educational or organizational stuff, there are skills in there. Your job is to find them. Hospitality, such as restaurant, hotels, or bartending. This is one of the most underrated backgrounds for VAs. The hospitality industry teaches speed, attention to detail, customer experience, multitasking, event logistics, and teamwork. People from this field are incredible at keeping things moving and handling anything unexpected. And you can take those skills into event planning support, travel planning, podcast guest coordination, inbox management, scheduling, and especially client care. Corporate roles such as admin assistants, HR, reception, or even office managers. These skills are some of the most directly transferable. If you've ever managed calendars or written emails, taken notes, updated documents, tracked information, or supported a team, you're already doing VA tasks. The only difference is that now you'll do them for several clients instead of just one boss. These VAs usually transition the fastest because the work feels familiar right away, but they aren't the only ones who can figure it out quickly. Creative industries such as marketing, design, writing, or communications. These skills are in extremely high demand. If you have ever written newsletters, managed social posts, handled Canva designs, or created content, you can turn that into content creation services pretty easily, or social media packages, podcast support, editing, or general marketing assistance. A lot of VAs start here because they enjoy creativity and they find it natural to translate that into online business tasks. You see what I mean? These examples obviously don't cover everything. They're just meant to help you see how everyday roles connect to VA services in a very real way. The key is recognizing that your experience created a set of strengths in you that clients need, even if they don't match the traditional admin job description. So what are yours? Here's a simple process you can use to figure out what you're actually best at. You don't have to overthink this. Please don't. You simply need to look at your experiences through a different lens. If you've done my skills inventory exercise before, you will find this process very familiar. If you haven't, I'll put a link to it in the show notes so that you can do it. Step 1. List everything you were responsible for in your previous roles. Don't filter anything out. Write it all down. The tasks, the duties, the expectations, the things you had to juggle, the things you were responsible for every day. This isn't about finding official skills, right? This is about discovering the stuff you did without even thinking about it. Why? Because you got really good at it. Step 2, circle the things that came naturally to you. These are your strengths. These are the things that made you stand out from anybody else. They're the things you may have taken for granted. When something comes naturally, you assume that everyone can do it, but they can't. And that's where your confidence steps in. Can you see it? I can see it. Step 3, translate each circled item into a business function. Ask yourself, what does this look like in the business world, in the online world? For example, if you used to organize patient charts, that becomes organizing digital files or CRM data. If you used to handle unhappy customers, that becomes online customer support or client care. If you used to plan lesson activities, that becomes mapping out content calendars or creating onboarding materials. The translation process is where the magic happens. What is the skill? How does it become a service, right? And step 4, choose the things you actually enjoy. This part actually is probably should be step 1, but it can't be because you have to do the other stuff first, right? But step 4 is it matters so much. It's not simply good enough to be good at something. You want to enjoy it so that you want to do it for your clients, not because I know how to do this so I should. I really love doing this and I could see myself doing this and obviously getting paid for it. Your best services sit at the intersection of your skill and your enjoyment. So think about it in that perspective. What you can do, yes, but what you love doing, absolutely. A lot of VAs assume they need the same services as everyone else. What should I offer? What's popular? But the whole point of looking at your transferable skills is that you don't need to follow what the crowd offers. You need to focus on what you do best. You might be best at something the VA next to you can't do. You might be excellent at tasks you never even considered real skills. You might have a strength that comes from a completely unrelated job, a really old job maybe, not just your last job. When I went back to college, I had been in the admin industry for 7 years at that point, and I had done a lot of different jobs, and I just thought, I'm going to work in admin. That's what I'm going to do. And when I went back to college, I was like, what do I love to do? And this is what I did. I did the skills inventory way, way, way a long time ago, not aging myself. And I just thought, what did I love? I loved working in hospitality. So that's what I went back to school for. And of course, I aced all my courses. And that's how I started my next corporate job. And that's actually how I started my VA job too. You can probably listen to last week's episode to find that out. But that's the point, right? Look for the really old stuff too. What did you love to do? And how can you translate that into services right now? Thinking outside the box means widening your lens. Instead of asking, what do other VAs offer? Ask, what do I do better than most people? What do others compliment me on? And what feels easier to me than to other people? What did my past coworkers always rely on me for? One of my colleagues used to tell me that I was super organized. And I thought, I don't really, okay, I just kind of do things. And she's like, you don't understand that you do this so effortlessly, and it is a real struggle for me. So that is a huge skill that you have that I don't have, and you should use that in your services. It's great advice, but I could never ever see it on my own. I didn't have any idea what she was talking about until she mentioned it. And when you sit and say something comes so easily to you, that's what you should be charging the most for, right? That's where that expression comes from, because something that is so simple for you is your expertise. But all of these questions uncover your actual gifts, the things that you are so good at that you don't even think about it. And when you combine those with the clear VA packages, your confidence skyrockets because you're not trying to pretend you can do something. You're not trying to fit into somebody else's skill set. You're trying to stand firmly on your own, and it makes perfect sense when you get there. If you want to grow as a VA and step into higher level clients, better rates, and more confidence, this is where it starts. Stop assuming that you need to learn more or learn something different to get clients. You already have plenty to begin with. You already have strengths that clients will pay you for. Your job is simply to uncover them, to trust them, and to build your business around them. There isn't one path to becoming a ridiculously good virtual assistant, but every single path becomes easier when you realize that you already have the foundation. You already know how to do it. You're not lacking skills. You're simply learning here how to use them differently. And that is the real shift for today. If you want some help doing this, please connect with me at yourvamentor.com/links. There's all kinds of stuff in there, all of my programs, all of my social media links, and you can DM me for a conversation. I'd be happy to help. Thanks for tuning in today. That's all I've got for you this week. I'll see you next time.